This is Greg Chen, Director of Government Relations for the American Immigration Lawyers Association. I'm here with Jeremy McKinney, our second Vice President, and we are in the House Judiciary hearing room after just having had a hearing on immigration courts where Jeremy testified. One of our main concerns is the need for an independent immigration court system. Jeremy, tell us, how did the hearing go today?
I think the hearing went great. The fact that we had a hearing it's just a huge honor that we get to talk about the issue. That we're even having this hearing is amazing to me. You know, when we first started talking about independent courts over 10 years ago, it really seemed like a fantasy, like it would never come to fruition. So to be at this point so soon, with the possibility of having actual legislation to advocate for with our representatives and senators, it's just amazing.
Yeah, so we're very excited about the energy and momentum that this hearing has created. Tell us a little about some of the key points that we were trying to make sure got illuminated at the hearing, and maybe some of the exchanges you had with the members of Congress.
Yeah, the main point that we tried to make today, and which is suiting for AILA as a nonpartisan organization, is that this is not a partisan problem. What I tried to repeat over and over is how administrations in the past, both Democrat and Republican, have not gotten this right because they are trying to shape the immigration court according to their own political agendas. So that's why we need independence. We have a statute, the Immigration Nationality Act, and we have case law from our circuits and from our administrative agencies. These judges need to have the independence to be able to faithfully execute, interpret these laws, and give our clients a fair shake in court.
Yeah, and I was struck in particular by how several of the members of Congress were concerned about the lack of judicial independence, and a couple of them said, hey, we should all be in agreement here that we need a new court system. You can support this issue by going to our website and taking action now. Go to aila.org/take action. You can also get more resources by going to our website, aila.org/due process, to get more information about this. Now, Jeremy, another issue that came up was the need for legal counsel, and several members of Congress, remember Mary Gates Scanlon, for example, was concerned that there are not enough people who are represented, and she talked about unaccompanied children, she talked about families that are crossing. What has been your experience about the importance of counsel? Describe what happened here at the hearing.
Well, I mean, first just starting off with the facts, and that is that less than half of people in immigration proceedings, deportation proceedings, have an attorney. And when a person is detained, that number falls even smaller. But we know that having an attorney is a win for everyone. It's a win for the court because you're having an attorney prepare a case in a professional and efficient way. It is good for DHS, for ICE itself, because we know that represented respondents almost always appear for court. The in absentia rate, people not showing up for court, is about 3% when a person is represented. And of course it's a win for the client that is in deportation proceedings. At least one study shows that the chance of being granted relief is 14 times higher when a person has an attorney. So we were able to make those points today, and the members seemed engaged on that point.
Now, that's, I think, is quite striking about the likelihood that you would win with counsel. The other statistic that Jeremy made clear during the hearing is that the disparate rates, grant rates, in asylum are so incredibly striking, varying across jurisdiction. And in the Arlington court, it's in the about 69, 70 some percent are granted asylum. But if you go down to the regions where Jeremy practices, Charlotte, it's in the even lower rates, where it's only about a few percentage of people that are granted asylum, and even lower when you get down to Atlanta. It's actually only 3% are granted asylum, according to the EOR statistics. Now, one other thing that came up during the hearing was that both Congressman Buck, the ranking member, and also Lesko seemed to attribute the incredible backlog in the courts to the fact that we have so many people who are crossing the border illegally. Jeremy, what was that discussion like, and what was your response to that?
Well, due to the limited time and the fact that those members tended to direct their questions to their witness, we didn't really get to fully engage on it, but it's just simply not the case because the statistics don't bear it out. In 2017, we saw the lowest rate of border apprehensions in decades, and yet the backlog went up. In 2018, we also had a very low number of border apprehensions, and the numbers on the backlog went up. Now, in 2019, we've seen this uptick in asylum at the border. I wouldn't call them, for the most part, even people illegally entering, because they're coming up to the border and requesting asylum from the first person that they encounter. So there are additional asylum seekers. There's no doubt about it, because there's also no doubt that we have a humanitarian crisis in Venezuela, in the northern triangle of Central America, in many parts of Mexico due to cartels. So there's no doubt that there's a humanitarian crisis and more people coming to the United States to seek our protection. But that's not the reason for the backlog. The reason for the backlog are these the decisions that this administration has taken to, first of all, put everyone possible into removal proceedings, regardless of your lack of criminal history, regardless of whether you are a threat to this country's national security. So without any prioritization, everyone's a priority. So you end up with all of these people in removal proceedings, and the longer you've been here and the deeper your ties are and the smaller your criminal record is, the greater chance you have a case in court. And then there's a series of decisions that have restricted the judge's power to control their own dockets, and it forces us into litigation. It's a difficult concept to explain in a few minutes, but the point is that a lot of cases can be resolved outside of immigration court, just like any other court. You have settlements, you have agreements, but this administration is not letting that happen. We are kept in litigation, fighting with each other, even if the judge doesn't want to hear the case, even if DHS would like to resolve the case otherwise. So,
well, that's definitely something that we're very concerned about. Jeremy, you mentioned what's happening in Venezuela, in Central America. That also came up during the hearing today. In fact, both of the other majority witnesses, Judy Martinez of the ABA and also Judge Tabador, talked about how people who are now appearing in these kinds of tent court proceedings now happening in Laredo and in Brownsville just aren't able to get the kind of due process that they deserve because of the incredibly restrictive environment in those proceedings, the fact that judges are appearing remotely, and that attorneys really can't get access to their clients very effectively and can't bring laptops or cell phones to do an effective job as counsel in those environments. I was just there in Laredo, Texas with Lady Perez Davis and Katie Mirza of our staff, and we saw what is happening there. We saw several cases. I actually had an opportunity to see an individual merits hearing involving, in fact, a Venezuelan political opinion case, and that person won on Friday a grant of CAT, Convention Against Torture, and withholding of removal. So we're very excited about that. So thanks, Jeremy, for joining me for the Facebook Live here. We will keep you updated about things that are going on with the immigration court issue. This is no doubt, as Jeremy was saying, a huge push of momentum. AILA's and all our members have been calling for so long for attention to be paid to this issue that the courts need independence. So stay tuned. Thank you.